This carburetor here comes off of that Mercury Outboard, the 20 horse Mercury Outboard. I rebuilt it about a year ago. The motor hasn't ran right. I found out that I put the wrong rebuilt kit in it. So I'm here today. I'm going to tear this back down, take a good hard look at it. I'm going to tear it down and start over to see if I can't get this carburetor dialed in to make that Mercury Outboard motor run the way it's supposed to. It's just a carburetor. My dad told me years ago when I was a kid, fact that is, I got the worst cussing out in my life because I messed with a carburetor in a little go-kart, a Briggs & Stratton carburetor, or maybe it was a Clinton. And I shared that story in a video. I'll link it to this if you're interested in listening or hearing that story. It was a life lesson. But this carburetor, we're going to tear it down. I'm going to soak it, and then we're going to put it back together. We're going to assemble it. We're going to put it in that motor, and we're going to start it, and it's going to run perfect, I hope. Follow along to the end to see what happens. I've got high hopes for this carburetor, so let's get right to it. To start with, I want to show you right here's the old kit. And the part number I used, if you can see that, I don't know. It's the wrong one anyway for a 1986 20 horse Mercury Outboard. But this is the right part according to this diagram and according to boatparts.net, I think it is. That's where I got these parts. So let's take this thing apart. The first thing I'm going to do is take the bowl off, and I'll have to get the wrenches for that. Let me get stuff around, then we'll get right to it. I have the wrenches here. Let's see what size this actually takes. It looks about maybe a 13. Yep, that's correct. Let's loosen that. It wasn't very tight. That's concerning. That has a little jet in it. We'll take that jet out and clean it. We're going to set these parts in order right here. Okay, we'll take this off. We'll pull this out. A concern I had was that I had this in backwards, and I can tell right now it was incorrectly. We'll put that there. I have this, but I can see an issue right now. That float is not adjusted anywhere at all close to being correct. So that needs to be down just a little further. So that'll have to be corrected. But let's go ahead and take this lever off, loosen this here, right here. Oh, we'll get that out of there. Just a screw that holds this in place along with the pin, and then the needle valve is right there. You can see the needle valve. It's right there. We'll get that out of there. It fell right out. We'll put all those parts together up here. We'll pull this bowl gasket out because the new kit has a new one again. We'll take this, we'll pull that out, we'll stick it right over here. Okay, now the bowl itself, it looks pretty good, but we're going to take this off next. I think that's a number, I'm not sure, 11 maybe? Yep. Okay. Now the thing that you have to watch about this is there's a spring in here, then a little ball bearing. And if you lose that ball bearing, could be in trouble. You see that? There's the spring. But what I don't see is that ball bearing in there. I forgot to put it back in. It's completely missing. That's definitely an issue. Finding all kinds of things that I did wrong with this the first time around. I guess I'm not quite as good at carburetors as I thought I was. Shoot. I wonder why I didn't put that ball bearing back in there. I was certain I did, but it's not there. It's definitely not there. Let's loosen this. This is your fuel primer. Push up and down in that, it's spring loaded and it pumps fuel into your engine for starting. Well, I'm just really dumbfounded about that little ball bearing not being there. That is a major rookie mistake. Wonder if I dropped it and didn't realize it a year ago. Okay, we'll take that out. We'll put that right there. Another spring that goes with this. We'll take the screws, we'll pull that, and this should come right off of there. And I'm going to put all the old parts, the previous rebuilt, over there, and see this little rubber comes off. There should be a new one in the kit. We'll put that over there also, and we'll set that with this. All those parts right there go together, so we'll keep them separated. Now this is ready to be soaked, and I am going to soak this stuff this time. Okay, now we're going to go for this. I don't know what it is. It says top. We're going to take it apart next. This carburetor would have never worked right without that little ball bearing in there, I don't think. Well, let's get, there she comes. We'll pull that off. Put that over there, and that over there. I'm going to pull the idle mixture screw out. They even sent a new one of those. And that has a little spring on it. We'll leave the spring intact so that we remember where that goes. There's a little red O-ring in there that should come out, and I can see it from the back side here. Wonder if I can push that out of there. I'll get something better than a pick to do that, but that will have to come out. Okay, this right here is your actual fuel pump. Let's take that apart. Again, we got Phillips screwdriver, 5 screws. And this is under pressure again. It's got a spring in there. Okay, there's the diaphragm and the gasket. We'll pull that off. Put that over here and set that there. And then we'll take this off right here. Set that right there, and then we'll pull this gasket off and put it over there. Okay, this was on there like that, and this was like that. And then this gasket here, not sure, but I think it was like that right there. Okay, let's look at this. Boy, there's all kinds of little holes in there. That little thing's off center. I wonder how that comes out of there. Or it probably doesn't. Huh. Okay, hole there, hole there. It even has the parts to replace this, but to do that I have to take the throttle out, and I think that would be a real pistol to put back together. I'm going to leave that in because I don't see that's really working good. Let's look at this now. Let's grab that 13 wrench again. That's this. Set that in there. And let's see if we can get the little jet out of there. Well, that isn't going to work. Let's take this gasket off of there. Doesn't look right anyway. I wonder if I got a wrench. I know what I'm going to use. This should work. I need to hold that down there. If it doesn't, I could take that over to the vise and take it out with that. That isn't going to work either. I'll be right back. I'm going to use my vise. That actually looks like it could be plugged. And this doesn't look that great either. So those two will need to be cleaned up. Okay, now the one thing that I was still working on is that little O-ring in there. And I'm pretty sure that that's in here. Not positive, but I thought I saw something tiny and small. There's a little clip, you can just barely see it. A little O-ring. Put them over here. Pretty sure that there's another one. Wait, what's that? There's another ball bearing. There's a little plug there and all those little holes. All I can say is I hope that my cleaner can get those out. Let's double check all this again. That little pin right there bothers me. I'm just not sure how that can work the way it is. Oh, Marv, should I take that out or not? Looks like all those parts are in there. Wow. And I certainly don't want to open this until I'm absolutely sure that I got all the right parts. There's that little O-ring, and I saw the clip in there too, so nope, I'm not going to do it. I'll break something and then I will be messed up. But what I'm going to do now is get my little pot and get that stuff soaking. I have this parts cleaner here I bought quite a while ago. It shows a carburetor on there. I've never used this, but we're going to see how this works. I've never tried it before. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get my wrenches out of the way. And I'll just bring that up so you can see what I'm doing. This stuff, oh, that's sticky on the bottom. Okay, let's open this up. Oh, wrong screwdriver. Bought this at the local hardware here in town. I saw someone else using something similar and I thought it was pretty nice actually. So what I'm going to do is put these parts, actually I'm going to just drop that in there. I'm going to put this in there and this and this. That plastic part, and see that just drops down in there. Now I'm going to let that soak. I'm not going to open this until I can put this together. I want this to soak for a little while. And in the meantime, I'm going to clean this up. You can see there's a little bit of dirt right there, and that definitely isn't going to help. So all that stuff needs to be cleaned off of there. I wonder if I just shake it in there. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay, we'll set that right here. I'll bring you back when I get this done. Might be a couple days, but for you it'll just be a brief couple of seconds. So thanks for watching this far. We'll finish her up here in a little bit. Well, I'm back. It's been several days. I believe it was last Wednesday and today's Monday. So it's been a few days for this soaking. So let's get right back to it and see if we can't put this carburetor together. Let's go at it and open this up and pull out some of these parts. There's that. And that right there. And these two right here. I believe that's it. Let me take a look. I don't see anything in there, although I do see some residue in the bottom of that, so that tells me that it did a little bit of good. Let me get rid of this so it's not here in our way. Set over here on the floor. Okay, let's take a look at these parts. Let's look at this first. It looks pretty good. Remember, that little hole goes out when we put it back together, so this fits on there like that. That hole out. And this is part of the fuel pump. Let's see, yep, that'll go on there, but this sandwich is in between. I'm pretty sure that goes in just like that. And this will go right here with the appropriate gaskets. And we're missing one little piece. Oh, here it is. This right here fits on top of there. Oh, on top of there like that. So that's how the carburetor will go back together. Now let's get all the appropriate gaskets and everything that goes along with it. The first thing I want to start with is the bowl. And the reason for that is if we, well, not the bowl itself, but the primer on the side of the bowl. There's a screw here that if you don't get that installed before the bowl's on, then you can't actually get it installed because the rest of the carburetor is in the way. So let's do this in the correct process. What I'm gonna do is I've got some parts cleaner here. I'm just going to spray out. There's a little hole in here. There's a hole right there. And there's a hole down inside the carburetor. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'm going to shoot parts cleaner through those holes and make sure everything is clear. That looks good. Yep, that looks real good. And now this last little one. I'm doing this off camera because I don't want to splatter. Well, I don't want to splatter everything, but I will show you this. See this little hole right here is, you can see it popped out right there. And if I would do it from this way, it would pop out down there. And you can see that doing that. So the bowl is clear. I'm going to get a couple clean shop rags. Brand new. Let's just wipe everything down real well. That's good. Oh, and this little top that's going to go on there has one hole right there. And then this inside, the plunger goes in. All of that looks good. We're going to do the top half of this first, and then we will do the bottom half. So, what gasket goes in the... Boy, now I need to lay out all my parts. This bag has a lot of little parts in it, and it would be easy to lose some of them. So, as I've been warned in the past, I'm going to warn you, be extra careful with how you handle this. So, we're going to need that. The new idle adjustment screw. I'm just going to lay this stuff out so I can see what I have. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a lot of little parts and a couple of cautions. Caution, when changing the injector diaphragm, you must change the injector spring and plug. Okay. And that's all right here. Okay, believe it or not, these two little components here are the first ones that I need. And where they go is they fit down inside here, This is a little seal that goes in first. I'm going to put just a little bit of this silicone grease on it. Doesn't take much, but just to make it slide. I'm going to drop it in here. And I'm going to go get something to push that down with. Not sure if this little punch will work or not, but let's see. Okay, now this little retainer clip goes in next. It's such a small little part, very easy to lose. It just slips right down in there with and holds that in place. Let's see if I can't get it started. I'm gonna have to put my glasses on for this one, guys. It is really small. Now let me get this in and I'll get back with you. It'll take me a bit. Well, I got that in there. I had to use a couple of different size punches, but I got it worked in there, and I'm satisfied with that. The next thing I'm going to do is put the little BB in, and these are really small parts here. So you got this little spring, this BB, and then the little brass. It comes with the kit, and you have a new ring that goes on here, like that. This goes in here, and this BB goes on top, and that screws into the bottom of there, just like that. But before I do that, I see I got a little gasket residue on there, and I want to clean that off with a knife, my fingernail, something, but just to get that residue off of there so we're sure that that seals up. Okay, I got that on. And now we can put this top on. Looks to me like, let's look at our gaskets. The gasket is already on there, so that goes in like that. And that seems to be working fine. And this, let's take this part right here, check it, spray it off, clean it off camera so I don't get my camera all messed up. Set that there, grab that shop rag and wipe it down. There's no little holes in this that I see other than this vent right here, and that goes to the outside, but we do have this little black cap that fits on this. We need to get that on there if we can. Oh, it is going, but it's going a little difficult. Let's get her on there. Almost. There we go. Just about. Let's get that all seated down on there. So that's on there just fine. Get this. And I want to put just a little bit of schmutz on that. And this will slide up in there. Like that. And then you've got a couple of pins here to line your gasket up. That looks good. Now let's put it back down. You can't see it, but I can see that little BB in there. Oh, let's make sure we get this on correctly. There's that. Now we need the 4 screws that came out of that. Those are the 5 for that. There's 2 there. Those aren't it. Now let me, oh, there they are, right back here. Let's get one started. Yeah, let's run her down so it holds it on there. Won't tighten it, but we'll get it close. Let's get the other 3. These are the screws that came off of it. Like I said, these inside screws are hard to get to with the bowl on. But we will work on that next, and we'll put the fuel pump on last. Some of the parts in this carburetor kit I will not use because I am not tearing it down that far. It'd be crazy to tear it down that far. I'm talking about these little components right there. Wow. And I'm not taking the butterfly out either. Okay, I got these tight. Perfect. We'll set that to the side. You can see that that's working. Get some fuel in there to get a little resistance. It'll work just fine. Okay, let's look at the body of the carburetor next. A lot of little holes on here. I'm going to take my cleaner and I'm going to go through all of them. And I will show you all of that when I get back. So let me get these holes cleaned out. There's several of them. We've got holes here, one there, one here. We have this in here, of which I'm sure comes apart somehow, but I do not have the tools to take it apart. We've got these up here where your needle or your little seat for the float goes into. There's just a lot of them. Let me clean this up. Okay, I got that. Actually have that all cleaned out. I assembled this. You can, reminder, put that on, put the plunger in, got this spring, everything that goes with that. So we're on to this step. I've cleaned this up. Now let's start assembling. Let's assemble the float assembly or the needle valve. Here's the needle valve. One last inspection, looks good. We'll drop that in. We will put that in place. Let's get the little screw that goes right here. Set it pretty close. Get it started. Get the screwdriver and turn that in. Grab the float. That float needs to set level. Looks like it needs to go down just a hair. We'll push it some. It's not bad. Looks pretty good. You can see it's sitting right there. Looks pretty good. Okay, the next step is my new gasket for the bowl. Can only go on one way. And we have the bowl. It can only go on one way as well. So we'll put that right there. That'll go on there, but we have to get, actually have to get this ready first. So this is the little needle valve I took out. It was plugged partially, and I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why I was struggling with the engine. It's not the only reason, but it's definitely part of the reason. Nice flat screwdriver in there, and we'll turn that back in there. Okay, that's all the way down. Now to test it, I'm going to spray some of the spray through it and make sure it comes out the sides like it's supposed to. And it does. Next, we have to find a new seal that goes on there. And that'll go just like that. Get that down where it goes and get this started. Okay, let's make sure we get that nice and tight. I believe I used a number 13. I think this I don't want to squeeze that any tighter. It's tight enough. Okay, now we're ready for the fuel pump. Let's just clean this up one last time. Spray it over here. If you remember earlier in this video, there was a chunk of dirt wedged in here. Pretty sure had a little bit to do about, say about why this wasn't functioning properly. This will go on like that. Have all the gaskets. Let's, you can see I'm using my cheat sheet over here. So we have the diaphragm gasket goes on the outside. So this will be going right here against this right here, like that. I'll clean it up here. It's got some of that oily film on it. Let me get her clean. Holes are all opened up on it that need to be. Get me a nice clean shop rag and wipe it down. And then we, like I said previously, this is going to go on like that. It actually can only go one way. I don't think you can put it on backwards. It has to go like that. There's, you know, it's just no other way it would go. This is flat. You can see here, this is nice and flat. On the other side of this, you can see we got ridges on this, which would seat into the gasket well. So common sense will tell you that goes like that. Now let's look for this gasket that goes here. And let's make sure we got this surface nice and clean. It looks pretty decent. We'll leave that. It's good enough. Let's look at our new gaskets and see what we have. But that goes on there just like that. I didn't use this gasket because it doesn't look the same as the other one. And I didn't use this. I think those two go together for a different carburetor. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to put this, together like this. We're going to run our screws into this to keep it lined up because, quite frankly, this is going to be a little hard to get started because of the spring. I see something I neglected to put in. You probably caught it, but we're going to stop right now and I'm going to fix it. To fix it, I have to take the bowl back off, and we will do that right now. I'm glad I caught this when I did, because nothing would have ran or worked correctly if this wasn't done. What we have is this spring right here, goes in here underneath this plunger, and that would tell me why that's a little sloppy. So let's take this back apart. Those of you who are watching carefully would have caught that, I am sure, as I was doing it, as I catch when I see others doing things and I think, wait a minute, you forgot a part. And I absolutely did forget a part. It doesn't matter how often you tear these things apart, which I've torn this one apart several times, so I'm really familiar with it. You can still always forget to put in a part, for Pete's sakes. But we're going to fix it. Now's the time to fix it. Now's the time to catch it. And that stands to reason why this didn't seem like it was working quite right. So let's get that off. Let's get this spring right here. Goes in here like that. Then this goes on top and down. And then we bolt it back together. And since I have this apart, I'm going to go ahead and take the bottom off again and just double check that to make sure everything there's correct. And I'll be right back. I'm back to where I was. Got that all put back together. This works a lot better. For those of you who caught that, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it, because you would have let me know what I've done wrong, and that means a lot to me. I was working on this, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this top on next, and that can only go on one way, like that right there. Two little screws, that would be these. Let's get all this stuff on, and then all I have is the fuel pump to finish up, and we'll get it on the boat motor. I mean on the motor, not on the boat. Got that started. Put the screws in loosely to start with to make sure everything's lined up. And go ahead and snug those up. I think I'm going to have to replace this screwdriver. It's starting to slip a little. Okay, we got that. Let's put this on next. But this right here is the right spring for this. They sent a new one. We're going to use the new one, so we'll put the new spring on there. And we'll put that in. That's your idle adjustment. We'll run that all the way in. And from what all you guys have told me, this backs out at a good starting point at 1.5 turns. And when it bottoms out, let's get it bottomed out. Right there's the bottom, so we'll go 1/2, 1.5. Right there's 1.5 turns. So we'll leave that there. Now let's do this hard part. I've been procrastinating. It's going to be a little difficult to put all this together simultaneously, but we will get it. So what I'm going to do is get me a screw or a bolt. I'm just going to drop them all down in the holes so that the gasket, everything is lined up the way it's supposed to be. And then we can put it all on as one unit. And see, as I put this in like that, I can squeeze that down just a little bit. Everything is coming together nicely, maybe. Wait a minute. Got a little resistance over here. What is it? Oh, there it goes. Got that. That. Got a little resistance there. Let's get it started, at least somewhere. Let's get one started. Let's start this one up here if we can. Get started. I learned a long time ago with carburetors that you don't want to force stuff. I know I was probably 14 or so when I tore my first carburetor apart. Boy, did I get a cussing out. I mentioned that to you before. My dad told me that even the best mechanics in the world don't mess with carburetors. Well, that sure isn't me. But guess what? I'm still messing with them. And this has come together nicely, as you can see. I do want to check one last thing on that spring. We're going to put a little tension on that. We're going to drop down over here to this corner. And we're going to go there. I'm going to go right here. And I'm going to go over here. And I'm going to drop up over here. Do that again, tighten. tighten. Click. Wonder if they make torque screwdrivers. Well, not what I mean is it like a torque wrench, but in a screwdriver, so you know how much tension you get on these. I bet they do. Or do you just guess like I've always guessed? That comes there. That looks good. Everything looks good, but I'm going to take this back out and make darn sure that this spring isn't the one that was supposed to go in there. Okay, let's do it again. How many times do I have to take it apart? I want it to be right, so we'll just pull that out. It's so easy to do now. You get it on the equipment. And yeah, it's not as easy. Here's the old spring. And here's the other one that they sent. It's definitely the one I had in there. But it's better to check it. Put that back in. We'll go back here. The little ball's still in there. A little ball bearing right in there. We'll put that back in. We'll just tighten that up a little bit. That's tight enough. This carburetor's rebuilt. I can't see as good. My back hurts today, but we got her done. I just hope now that everything's put together correctly, the right parts. I've got a ton of parts left over. I'm going to gather them all back up, including these here, and put them back in the bag and write on the bag what I used it on. Who knows, maybe I'll come across another old 20-horse Mercury that will need carburetor parts, and I might just have them. There you have. The only other thing that I'm going to caution you on is this gasket here. There's a couple of them that come with it. It's this one right here, and the reason I tell you it's this one because of this slot down here. It makes a difference. And you see this right here? That's the way it goes on. I'm going to install this on my motor. And then we're going to try it. But for now, we're going to call this video a wrap. The rebuilding of this carburetor. I hope you learned something. I did. And stay tuned. Subscribe. Hit the notification so that when I put this on that engine behind me that you know, and you can come watch it if you want to. If you got any comments on what I've done today and on this carburetor, I'd appreciate it. I know I've had a lot of response from a lot of you. And I appreciate those comments and response because it helped me out. It gave me some direction. And it's very much appreciated. Can it be fixed? Sure it can. Can you fix it? Sure you can. We'll catch you on the next one.